I hope and trust that you are doing well, um, and that you also had an amazing day or having an amazing day so far. All right, so for today, we will be doing our grade 8 English lesson and our grade 8 English lesson on multiple meaning words. So we'll do our grade 8 English lesson on multiple meaning words, right? And multiple meaning words is another name for a specific word, which we are going to find out more about, right? All right, so in order for us to start, or before we start, we're going to the aplusstudents.ca page. We're going to log in with our username as well as our password. And then we're going to select the subject of language arts, which is also English, grade 8. All right, and we said that our topic is multiple meaning words, which means that we are going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of multiple meaning words. All right, so once we've selected multiple meaning words, the chapter, then the lessons that we're going to be focusing on under the chapter of multiple meaning words is which sentence matches the definition and which definition matches the sentence, right? So it's like vice versa. They're first going to give us sentences and we're going to have to match it with the definition. And then we are going to be given the definitions that we have to match with the specific sentences. All right, so we are going to start with our lesson. So once again, this is our grade 8 English lesson, and we're doing the chapter of multiple meaning words under the lessons of which sentence matches the definition and which definition matches the sentence. So we're going to the first one. Which sentence matches the definition? All right. So some words have more than one meaning, right? So you'll find certain words that have more than one meaning. Words that are spelled and pronounced the same way but have different meanings are called homonyms, right? So words that are spelled as well as pronounced the same, right? But they have different meanings. We call that homonyms, right? So, for example, Jessica struck the match and held it against the tinder to start the campfire, right? So, even if we look at words, maybe specific words within that sentence that you can maybe identify that has a word that is pronounced and spelled the same, but the meaning is different. We can maybe look at match, right? In this case, Jessica struck the match and helped against the table to start the fire, which means that this is like a matchstick, right? In order, and the matchstick is used to make a fire, right? That is the word match, right? And then also another meaning of the word match is when you are pairing with someone else, matching it. Pairing clothes, pairing somebody else, or so on. Right? So that is match and match. It is where it is pronounced the same, spelled the same, but the meanings are different, and we call those homonyms. What color furniture would match the maroon carpeting? You see, there we have. Oopsie. Okay, so there we have match and there we have match. So what color would match the maroon carpeting? Which means that these are now words that are pronounced the same, spelled the same, but the meanings are different, right? And the second match, which color furniture would match the maroon carpeting, right? Which means that that is also, like we said, it is pairing. It is things that must either go together, be the same. This goes with that one, right? So that is words that are spelled the same, pronounced the same way, but the meanings are different, and we call those homonyms, right? So now words that are spelled the same way but have different pronunciations and meanings are called homographs. So words that are spelled the same way but have different pronunciations or meanings are called homographs, right? It's called homographs or homographs. The double bass is the example is the double bass is the largest string instrument in the orchestra. So in the sentence, bass rhymes with case. All right. So once again, words that are spelled the same way but have different pronunciations and meanings are called homographs, right? And the double bass is the largest string instrument in the orchestra. So in this sentence, bass rhymes with case, right? Bass is a variety of spiny, fine, fresh water and salt water fish, right? And in this sentence, bass rhymes with grass, so it's bass and or bass and grass, right? Bass and grass, 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 bass and grass, right? So it is in the we said home we have homonyms and we have homographs, right? And we said homonyms are words that are spelled the same, pronounced the same, but the meanings are different. And then we have homographs where it is spelled the same but have different pronunciations and meanings of the word, right? And we call those homographs, right? And we said, for example, remember we said spelled the same but different pronunciation. And we made an example now of bass and bass, right? Bass is a variety of spiny, fine freshwater and saltwater fish, right? And then we have bass, the bass of an instrument, right? Of an instrument or musical instrument, right? And these are two words that are, it's spelled the same, but the pronunciations are different. The pronunciations are different. Even the meanings, it means it means total different things. All right. Next, the word custom has more than one meaning, right? The question asked for this meaning is ad- custom adjectives made or changed to fit the needs of a particular person or the role, right? So consider the first answer choice. Throughout much in the Middle East and India, people often eat with their hands rather than with utensils. The custom is to only to use only the right hand for eating. Here, custom means practice, right? It means practice that is a tradition or traditional for a particular group. This is not the correct answer, right? Consider the second choice. Oopsie. So, oh, that is based on, that goes with our, sorry, that goes with our question, right? Okay, so before we go on to the questions, I apologize. Before we go on to our questions, I said we have homonyms and we have homographs, right? Some words have more than one meaning, right? And we said that we have words that are spelled the same, pronounced the same, and but have different meanings, and we call those homonyms. And then we have words that are spelled the same way, but the pronunciations and the meanings are different, and we call those homographs, right? We call those homographs. Now, if we look at our activity, it says which piece of text uses the meaning of custom. Custom. So, custom adjective made or changed to fit the needs of a particular person or role, or built in 1986, the 1950s revival led sled was a custom car built with a variety of modifications to look like a classic American car, right? Which means that we now need to choose the correct text that matches or the meaning of what a custom is, right? And we said that custom, it is an adjective that is made to change or fit the needs of a particular person or a role, right? And customs you will usually find with traditional practices that you need to basically follow, because we call it either customs, we call it norms that people need to follow. All right. So if we look at what the word custom is, let's underline customs. Here's the word custom. And we say that the word custom has more than one meaning. Because remember, we said that you will find a word that is either spelled the same, pronounced the same, but the meaning is different. So you can sometimes find one word, right, that is spelled the same as well as pronounced the same, right, but the meanings are different, right? Or you will have the same word that is spelled differently. I'm sorry, it is spelled the same, but the pronunciation is different as well as the meaning, right? And here we have like custom, which means that the word is the same. But to basically find common ground, it needs to match with another word that either sounds the same or is spelled the same, and then we find out the meanings of those words. Because of course, there's a lot of words that is the same with different meanings to it. So the word custom has more than one meaning, and the questions asked for this meaning, right? Custom adjective made or changed to fit the needs of a particular person or role. Sorry. So customs adjective made or changed to fit the needs of particular persons or role. Consider We need to basically consider this first choice as our answer, which is the custom adjective made or change it to fit the needs of a particular person or a role, right? And then we have another word which is custom, where we have it over here. And it says throughout much of the Middle East and India, people often eat with their hands rather than with utensils, right? And the custom is to use only the right hand for eating. And in this case, custom is practice, right? Because certain traditions, religions, cultural practices, they practice certain things, right? So customs, it is certain things that they practice, certain things that they believe in, right? And that is what they mean in this case, right? So usually it means, so in this case, it means that customs means a practice that is a traditional, that is traditional for a particular group. So like we said, certain groups, which is cultural groups, religious groups, they practice certain traditional norms, and then they follow those practice as well as follow it, right? So which means that we will go with the first one, which is custom adjective made or changed to fit the needs of a particular person or role, right? All right, then the next one says built in 1986, the 1950s revival led sled was a custom car. There we have another one, custom car built with a variety of modifications to look like a classic American car. So if something is a custom car, right, it means that they have changed a few things or changed a lot in order to fit to the needs of a particular person or a role, right? This is where they usually say that mainly men would be playing around and design or modify, right, a specific car. So, which means that in this case, customs mean made or changed to fit the needs of a particular person or a role. Bed built in 1986 and 1950 revival issue was a custom car built with modifications. All right, classic America. Which piece of text uses the meaning of staples, even if we now go to the next one. So, firstly, before we go on to the next one, there we have three different words. No, it's one word, but we have three different meanings of the word custom, right? So, there we have custom that is made to change or fit the needs of a particular person or role. Then we have custom, which means the practice that is traditional for a particular group. And then we have custom is where you make to change or to fit the needs of a particular person or a role. It's basically to modify something, right? So that is three words that is spelled the same. It is pronounced the same, right? But the meanings are different. The meanings are different, right? All right, so now they are saying which piece of the text uses the meaning of the word staple, right? So we first went over which of the texts use the word custom. So now we're going to use the word staple, right? And staple can either be an item of food, right? Or sometimes you can say staple is when it's like a form of like a material thing that you use to, can't use the word staple again, but to bind things. When you use this little stapler, right? To bind things, if that is a word. So that is already two meanings of it, right? So staple. So staple noun is a necessary item of food, right? And for nearly 2 billion people around the world, especially in Asia, Latin America, and parts of Africa, rice is a dietary staple, right? Dietary staple. So you always find people in those areas that have for example, staple food such as rice within their cupboards, right? All right, so now we're going to staple. We are now by staple, right? So the word staple has more than one meaning. That is why we call it multiple meaning words, right? That's why we call it multiple meaning words because it has more than one meaning. And we spoke about staple, right? Staple being one of the words, right? It is a word that it is spelled the same, sound the same, but the meanings are different. So in this case, the word staple, the first one, has more than one meaning. So the question asks for this meaning, which is staple, which is a necessary food item. And we made an example of certain parts of the country or in the world that has, for example, certain staple items within their homes, right? Which is basically like a norm for most people. So that is, if we go back up, they say for nearly 2 billion for nearly 2 billion people around the world, especially in Asia, Latin American and parts of Africa, rice is a dietary staple, which means that that is a necessary item of food, which is this meaning, right? An item of food, dietary requirement, staple item, something that you'll always find in someone's home, right? Then we also have another one. So that is the first one. Maggie removed the stapler or stapler. We call it stapler from the article she was reading, so she could more easily compare the graphs that were on different pages, right? So there we also have another word, stapler, right? Staple, stapler, right? She removed the staple. Actually, she removed the staple from the little page, right? And in this case, the meaning of staple, it is a short piece of wire bent to fasten papers, right? So we have staple, which is a necessary food item. And now we have another word, staple, which is a short piece of wire that is bent to fasten the papers, right? All right. So here we have two different words, right? Which is staple and staple, right? And both of these two words is spelled the same, it is pronounced the same, but the meanings of the words are different. And we call this homonyms, right? Because we said homonyms are words that are spelled the same, pronounced the same, but the meanings of the words are different, right? And then we said homographs is when the word is spelled the same, but the pronunciation as well as the meanings are different, right? All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so if we look at the third one now, right? The third example. The third example says, which piece of text uses the meaning of minor? Minor. So according to the survey, a majority of employers consider an applicant's course of study in college to be a minor factor in the hiring process. In this case, minor factor means that it is like almost like a small factor. It's not as big, right? So minor. So we need to now find words that are similar, not similar in meaning, but we need to find words, another word that is spelled the same, pronounced the same, but a different meaning, right? To minor. And our original question is, or text is, according to the survey, the majority or a majority of employees consider applicants course of study in college to be a minor factor in the hiring process. Okay, so minor. The word minor, it also has more than one meaning. And that is why the topic of discussion is, or the chapter that we're focusing on, is multiple meaning words, right? And minor, the first minor means it is an adjective and it is not especially important, right? Meaning it is not that important, it is just a little or small factor, right? Or that is not much important in that case, right? So we said that they consider the applicant's process a minor factor, right? Meaning it is not that important, right? And then we have um, another word, minor, right? Here, in most states, here we go. In most states, a minor must have permission from a parent or guardian to get his or her ears pierced. A minor, right? And here, a minor means a person who is not legally an adult. So usually, a minor is somebody who firstly needs the care of the parent. You need permission from parents, right? Because you cannot make decisions on your own. Basically, considered as a child, right? So you need permission from parent because you are not legally an adult, meaning you cannot. We assume that you cannot make decisions on your own. You need the permission of a parent. So once again, these are two words, minor and minor, that is spelled the same, pronounced the same, but the meanings are different. The first word, minor, means that it is not especially important, and the other word, minor, it means where a person is not legally an adult. You need the permission of a parent. So that is the multiple meaning words where we match the sentences with the definition. All right, so now we're going to the test. Which piece of text uses the meaning of season? Season. Season is a verb, right? And it is to add salt, pepper, or spices to a food. So now we need to choose the meaning or the definition, right, of the word, right? And two of the options are given to us. So the first one says, during the rainy season, which starts in November and lasts through January, many parts of the Oregon coast receive more than 10 inches of rain each month. And then the second one is being able to properly season meat is what separates the amateurs from the professionals, the cooking instructor said, right? So in this case, it is a verb. It's where we are adding salt and pepper and spices to the food, which means that we are going to choose option two, right? Because choosing option two is basically making mention of seasoning our food, adding different type of spices in order to bring that aroma and the taste, to bring out the taste, right? It is nothing to do with the season, the weather, nothing, right? It's to do with food. All right. The meaning of re, right? And re, it means uncommon, uncommon. So Jackson prefers to eat well done beef and lamb, but Yin prefers hers rare. And in the antique shop, Mr. Norman found a rare hardcover edition of Mark Twain's Life on the Mississippi, published by James R. Osborne and Company in 1883. Right? So rare, so uncommon, right? Which means that it is not option one because we are not talking about how well done meat is. We are talking about the second one. right? It is uncommon to find certain books, certain things that has basically that you maybe think would be off the shelves many years ago. Which piece of the text uses the meaning of interest, right? So interest, and in this case, the meaning of interest, right? Interest is a noun and it shows attention or concern, right? So that is interest, attention or concern. So the first option is how much interest will you have to pay on the loan you took out for your new car? So that is interest, right? It is the amount that you need to pay back, either the bank or wherever you made a loan from. It's more to do with finances. And then Philip doesn't show much interest in astronomy, but Lisa spends hours studying celestial objects through her telescope in the backyard, right? Which means that we are going to choose the second option. The first one is to do with finances. That is the interest that they are talking about, right? It is the amount that you need to pay the bank or whoever that you made a loan from back, right? In interest, in another amount that is on top of that amount. And the second option is either paying attention or concerned about a specific subject, right? Because they say Philip doesn't show much interest, meaning he's not concerned or he does not pay much attention up in astronomy, but Lisa does. All right, which piece of text uses the meaning of hamper? Hamper. And hamper is a noun which is a large basket with a lid. A hamper is a large basket with a lid. So the planned lane and ramp closures will likely hamper the flow of traffic into the city, the newscaster reported. Oh, no, I haven't seen your skinny jeans, Mrs. Delgado said to her daughter. Have you looked in the laundry hamper? Right? So in this case, the hamper, which is a large basket with a lid, we would then choose the second option. Because the second option is a laundry hamper. It is like a laundry basket, right? Because it has a lid. And the first option is to do with traffic, right? People sitting in traffic, cars, bumper to bumper. All right, let's do one more. Which piece of text uses the meaning of colon? Colon is a noun, right? A punctuation mark that introduces a list or an explanation. So, healthy bacteria in the colon help to digest food, absorb nutrients, synthesize vitamin K, and prevent growth of bad bacteria that you may ingest with food. And then we have Mrs. Buchanan skimmed the draft of a student's paper and pointed to a line. You needed a colon here, she instructed. So if we want to go back to what the meaning is of a colon, it says it's a punctuation mark that introduces a list of explanations, right? Which means that we will choose option two because it's punctuation marks that this person had to add on her or his paper, not to do with colon and like to do with food and bacteria. All right. So that was the sentences that is matched with the definition. So now we're going to match the definitions with the sentences, right? And remember we said that you either have homonyms and we have homographs, right? And that is to do with multiple meaning words. Those homonyms are words that are spelled and pronounced the same way, but it has different meaning. And then we have homographs, which is spelled the same but the pronunciation as well as the meaning is different, right? All right, so if we look at the sentence, it says, after a productive afternoon of focused writing, Molly felt content with the progress she had made on her paper. And content in this case, it means she is pleased or she is satisfied. So pleased and satisfied. So that is where you are content, right? So when you are pleased and satisfied that you can give in this paper and you'll probably get good marks, right? So in this case, what does the content mean? And here we say the content means pleased and satisfied, right? So what does subject mean over here? In deciding on a college major, it's important to select a subject that you find particularly interesting, right? So subject, and in this case, subject is an area of knowledge or research that is studied, right? So you either have subjects or modules in school, and you'll also have subjects and modules when you go to the university, right, or to college, right? And you need to basically choose something that is of particular interest to you, right? Because then it means that you will put more effort into it, right? So, which means that the meaning of this word subject, it is the area of knowledge or the research that is being studied, right? It is something that we find more interested in, interesting. Some subjects we don't find interesting at all, and others we have more of greater interest. What does refrain mean here? Refrain. All right, so refrain, it says when seals flocked to Oregon beaches. So when seals flock to Oregon beaches, biologists asked the residents and tourists to refrain from interfering with the newborn pups, whose mothers routinely leave their pups on shore while they hunt for food in the water, right? Which means that in this case, refrain means to keep yourself from doing a desired action, right? It's to keep yourself from doing a desired action. It is refrain from picking that up, refrain from doing that, refrain from even going there, right? So that means refrain, to keep yourself from doing a desired action. And in most cases, if somebody is refrain from doing it and you do it, and then the results are always negative, or most times negative, right? So which means that refrain in the sense, it means to keep yourself from doing a desired action. All right, let's go to the test, right, where we are matching the definition with the sentence. So what does issue mean here? Issue. The city of Westminster plans to issue a bond of more than $6 million for a variety of infrastructure improvements. So in this case, what does issue mean? So issue is a noun, right? A matter of importance or discussion, or issues a verb to supply or distribute in official way. So the city of Westminster plans to issue a bond. of more than $6 million for a variety of infrastructure improvement. So in this case, we will say it is the second option, right? It is to supply or distribute in an official way, right? $6 million is being issued, right? To improve the infrastructure or the improvements or to improve the infrastructure. What does compact mean here? Compact. Japan's compact capsule hotels consist of many rooms that are each about 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 4 feet high. So Japan's compact capsule hotels consist of many rooms. So compact is a formal agreement between two or more parties or packed closely together. All right. So Japan's compact capsule hotels consist of many rooms, right? That are each about 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 4 feet high. And the two meanings are formal agreement between two or more parties or packed closely together. So let's choose packed closely together. All right. Though I'm not usually a fan of modern art, Piet Mondrian's geometric paintings have always captured my interest. So, interest being a charge of borrowing money or attention or concern. So, if it always captured somebody's interest, then we can say it is capturing attention or concern. What does program mean here? The Millersburg Ballet Company's intensive summer program includes a variety of classes for students to develop their technique. So, program, noun, a planned schedule, performance, or activity, or to encode operating instructions for a computer. So, we can say scheduled activities or performances because it is the Millersburg Ballet Company's intensive summer program, which includes a variety of classes for students to develop their techniques. So it is, in this case, program is a noun where it is a plan, schedule, performances, or activities. All right, let's do one more. What does prune mean here? Prune. Every year, the city of Morristown must prune trees along its streets to keep branches clear from power lines. Prune. Prune trees along the streets. So it's prune is to trim, or prune it's dried plum. So in this case, it is to trim. Because if they're saying the city must prune the trees along the streets to keep the branches clear from power lines, right? It means that they need to trim the branches or the trees just so that it does not go up to the power lines. Hot. So, what does hamper mean here? Hot, dry, windy conditions continue to hamper firefighters in their efforts to battle the forest fire. So, hamper is a noun, a large basket with a lid or to hold back. So, hot, dry, windy conditions continue to hamper firefighters in the efforts to battle the forest fire. So, we can say it is to hold back, right? It is holding them back from putting out the fire, for example. All right, so that is our test, right? So this is our chapter, multiple meaning words, and we went over the lessons of which sentence matches the definition, which definitions matches the sentence. And remember, we said with multiple meaning words, we have homonyms as well as homographs. And homonyms are words that are spelled the same, pronounced the same, but the meanings are different. And then we have homographs, which is spelled the same, but the pronunciation as well as the meanings of the words are different. And that is why we call it multiple meaning words, because you will basically find or have a word that is spelled the same, either pronounced also the same, depending, but you will have different meanings to that one specific word that spells the same, pronounced the same. It's just that the meanings are different. Sometimes it can be two or more than two words with the same definition, but same spelling also, or sometimes sound. All right, so that is what we call multiple meaning words, right? It is either where the words are spelled the same, but the meanings as well as the pronunciations are different. And in order for us to also know what it is, you need to know what the meaning of certain words are. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on multiple meaning words. Thank you very much, grade 8, for joining our class, and you should have an amazing evening further. Goodbye.